Hey guys, it's Nolan and Jason here with Roofing Webmasters.
Howdy.
Gonna do a little podcast. This one's called Got My Mind on My Marketing and My Marketing on My Mind.
For roofers.
For roofers, yeah. We're not sure how we're gonna title it for YouTube, but anyway, yeah. So, we talked about this stuff before, but I have a spot. And first I wanna say, this podcast is gonna go over what I think is the best mindset to have to be successful from a marketing perspective, which in my opinion is number one. But I'm going to start it by I'm going to relate my life to what happened to me, because I had a home service business that never made money unless the marketing was great.
Right.
And so it led to me having a marketing company. And it's a long story, but I'll tell part of it because it's really interesting. So back in, I've told this people before, but I think it's interesting to hear. I've told other guys. Somebody's crying to me the other day about how hard it was. And I'm like, hey man, I can.
Call me when you're 50.
Yeah, my story is usually not always rougher, but it's rough enough.
Yeah.
But I was like, I started painting curbs and mowing lawns. Even back then, I marketed to do that. Thing that sucked the worst was putting flyers on doors to get a lawn mowing gig. When I was like 16 years old, we'd do 200 or 300 flyers and get like one crappy job.
Barely paid for the flyers.
Yeah, back in the day doing that. Yeah, but so back around 2004 or 5, it might have been it's probably around 04 or 5. We were having to switch in home security from auto dialers, which I've told this before, to digital marketing, or back then it was just pay-per-click.
Yeah.
So we had pay-per-click going, and when we first started,
there was no SEO to speak of.
People were beginning to talk about it, but it didn't really work well.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I'll tell you a funny story too. I'll tell it, but you remember David Letterman had the top 10 list, and it was really popular back then in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And and people spoofed on it all the time, but I put top 10 reasons to choose Guardian Alarms and Dallas Fort. And it was literally like number one, Dallas Home Security Company, number 2, best alarm monitoring in Fort Worth, number 3, and all those
bullet. Oh my God, you invented the listicle online.
All those things.
Curse you.
They all optimized.
Yeah.
Like all the bullet points. It was so easy, and we got every single keyword up in ranking. Isn't that nuts? On the homepage.
That is, because you can't. Yeah, you can't.
It's like, hey, this doesn't seem spammy at all. This is awesome. We'll put it in the top 10 list. Yeah, and I thought I was brilliant.
And people are still trying to do that, mostly unsuccessfully.
Yeah, we did. We did that, and I don't know. We had a 3 to 5% keyword saturation rate. Like Dallas Home Security would be in there 3% plus of the time. It was so jacked up, but that was necessary for optimization. It wasn't really my fault. It was Google required it.
Yeah, it was how it worked.
Okay, so dial back to 2005, and I'm going to explain to you why this is so paramount to think about marketing in the proper way, or at least a fairly proper way. Otherwise, you're going to screw yourself up and never make the kind of money you want. And so you ever make money, and not ever say you won't make some money, but not make the money you want.
Right.
So 05, we started paying about $1 a click. 04, 05. Dial forward to 08, and it was up to about $15, $18 a click.
Right.
We won, and we were in multiple states trying to sell home security systems. But in 1 month, for a little while there, we were spending $80,000 per month, and it was unbearable, obviously, and crippling. And so had started hiring people, and it was early on that I'm like, okay, we've got to be really efficient. So it wasn't just the lead. The lead is the first point of efficiency. And Jason can tell you that I run a very efficient business.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Well, we won't make a profit basically if we don't, right? But the efficiency begins with the lead. And if it falls apart there, you're probably screwed on everything. So if you don't have an efficient lead, you're probably not going to make very good profit. There are some other things you can do as a roofer but you don't want to only do that. For example, door knocking's great, but you don't want to only door knock because you'll have a rough life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, it's door knocking is a part of a good overall strategy.
It's part of a healthy marketing strategy for a roofer. Absolutely. And I like it, but it's not, if it's the only thing there is, it's just a bit rough.
Yeah.
So we decided to quit paying for clicks back then. And once I tell this story too, if people listen to us enough, you'll understand why we focus so heavily on organic optimization.
Right.
So around 08
it's all based on your experience.
Yes, yes, it is, and it's based upon my respect for the money, for the marketing,
right?
Which most people don't really give me enough credit for that. We don't not push paid, which we do paid, but we don't push paid as much, and we don't not push paid because I hate it. I just know that paid cost way more.
Yeah, we know that it's a less efficient. There's a word again. Way of acquiring leads.
Yeah, it's going to cost you hundreds and hundreds of percent.
It's more efficient in time, less efficient in money.
Yeah, I guess so. But money is paramount,
right?
So as you're working on marketing, it's the efficiency of a lead. That is the number one thing you're looking for. Is when the marketing dollar's spent, that you get the best return possible. Everything else, as I always say, is a privilege. So it's a privilege to have an office, to get a lead, to run the lead, to give an estimate, and to get a client and to provide the service. And all of that is funded through the acquisition of the lead in the first place, of the marketing.
Right.
And the lead, which people get tied up on semantics, is not really. The lead is a result of a proper branded presence, primarily on a digital basis.
Right.
So the leads come in because you branded yourself on Google, and you have signaling coming through from reviews, changes on the website, social signaling, other platforms, citations. Somebody threw out the word NAP to me today. They were trying to figure out.
That in a while.
It was.
I mean, it's one of those things that's still important, but nobody talks about it because it's so fundamental.
It was telling, I'll say, for my conversation. And he said, "What do you think about that?" And I'm like, "That's a long conversation." I said, "So since you mentioned NAP, I know that you don't know too much about it." He said, "Well, I want to learn how to do all this." I said, "But do you really?" NAP goes into citations, goes into, and I said, "You've taught, the first part of the conversation is about one thing."
Right.
And yes, we handle that for you. But I get the fact that this guy, and he became a client, by the way. I didn't even tell you that. I signed up a guy earlier. Yeah, so he became a client. Great guy, by the way, out of Houston, and out of Humble. If you're not from there, you call it Humble, I guess. But he's out of Humble. But so, yeah, he wanted to learn it well enough to know it well enough, which is smart. I get that.
Yeah.
It's like, because I asked him, I said, just to be clear, do you want to try to learn how to be a marketing company to run your own business, or do you just want to know it well enough so that you know it well enough so that you can manage your business? He said, the second. I said, okay, that's fair.
Okay, then we can keep talking.
Then we can keep talking. Yeah, because the truth is you'll never know the marketing as well as we do.
Right.
So I'll have to tell you another funny story about that later, but we'll stay on track here. So as you're thinking about it all day long, we talked about this before, everything's viewed through marketing. It should be a daily thought. It's kind of the crux of my existence. Jason hears me talk about it. We're a marketing company, and I think people tend to take for granted the fact that we have to market for ourselves nonstop.
Yeah.
So I don't think they realize that we too are in the same boat as them, and then we help all of you guys, all these roofers, and at the same time learn that aspect of it. But we too have to deal with it daily, and it is.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I worked for a small agency once, that our own small marketing and advertising agency, and their own marketing was very poor.
Yeah, it's bad.
And when I would question the owner about it, she would say, "Oh, well, it's like the cobbler's children that don't have any shoes."
Yeah.
I'm like, well, the reason you don't have any shoes is because you don't market and you can't afford to buy any.
Right.
It's like, I was just like, that's crazy. That agency no longer exists.
They're not around anymore. Yeah. So we work on the brand to get leads, just like you guys do. And case in point, this is not. It's a little bit different than what we do, than what the roofer needs to do.
Obviously,
the roofer doesn't need to run a podcast, but this is content for us.
Yeah.
So we're running a podcast, we're running videos, and this is one of the first ones we've done in a while that the title had nothing to do with an optimizable word.
And we do spend time thinking about that when
Yeah.
we sit down. It's like, what do we call this one for best optimization? We're the stuff that we do for you guys and try to tell you guys to do is what we're doing right now at this moment.
So anyway, I guess the marketing is number one, not because we're trying to sell you marketing, but because it's just number one. And to the point that I got out of the service business that I was in and went into marketing. And I'm not suggesting somebody do that. Like home security changed radically changed.
Yeah.
We went from hardwired to wireless, from landline to cellular. I mean, it just radically changed. We had like major people come in. Used to ADT wasn't as big as they were. And you didn't have like AT&T and Ring, and like everybody got into home security.
Yeah.
Like there's a residual check there. They like everybody's in it.
AT&T started with cable and internet, and now they're doing home automation and full home automation and home security. That's the other thing. Home security became home automation.
True, it did, and I honestly didn't want to sell it. It's a pain in the ass. Pain in the ass. I didn't want to get into all of it. It became something that I didn't start with, and so I pivoted and changed at some point. But anyway, I guess someone should wake up every day thinking about marketing. Put on their marketing goggles, make that first, and everything else is a privilege. I just talked to a guy, we talked about this the other day too. Somebody will pay for a piece of software per seat for their business. And I'm going to give two beefs on this that really irk me. And it's not, and this isn't any one person, this is like the average contractor or business owner.
Yeah.
So they'll pay for, we have this software that costs $200 a seat, $100 a seat. It's like, and
They'll pay for 10 seats.
I talked to two people this week. I'm going to give two examples just this week. One guy had their in-house marketing manager, air quote, which means they know nothing, right? And he's nice though.
Yeah. But by the way, he I know which one you're talking about. He admitted that he didn't know what we know to his bosses. He said to them,
correct,
you need to hire them. I can't do what they can do.
So he called me about a year ago and said, Nolen, what do you do? That sounds great. I'm going to go talk to bosses. I called back a couple times, tried to get in touch with him. Didn't answer the phone. I wasn't going to beat him up, especially. I don't run people down anyway.
Yeah.
But he wasn't even the owner. So I'm like, what am I doing burning my time? And so I called him a couple times and let it go. He called this week, said, hey, it's so-and-so. Talked to you a year ago. I said, yeah, I remember. I got notes here. You're talking. And he said, yeah, we should have signed up with you a year ago. I've been working on the business operations and we've got some stuff under control, but our marketing's still no good. I said, I told the business owners at the time that you should hire this guy. He's the best. And I went back to the business owners and said, it's a really good deal. I don't like giving pricing, but it was less than $1,000 a month.
Right.
And they said, no, you do it. You go do what they do. And he said, we're not a marketing company and I'm not a marketer. We can't do what they do. He said, well, just do your best job. Now, that's not this part of it that makes me upset.
That's bad enough, but.
That's bad enough.
Yeah.
But here's the bad part. They had 25 people that had software seats for $200 a pop.
25.
Which was $5,000 a month at $60,000 a year. But they wouldn't pay 10, 12 grand a year. To work on the marketing. Now, here's the point that the marketing is the first thing and everything else is a privilege. Everything else is a privilege. The procedures, your office, your help, your service calls, your estimates, it's all a privilege. Repeat client. Everything comes because you had a lead and you went out there and did it and you worked on your brand and your marketing. So somebody go pay $5,000 a month in marketing and software, won't pay less than 20% of that to market. You can't use the stinking software
if the marketing isn't there.
If the marketing isn't there.
Yeah, just to make the point, the software that he's talking about, which we won't name.
We're not going to name it.
Is effectively helping with clerical duty.
From what would presumably be a lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like after the lead comes in, that's ignoring that for a second. This software was just helping them do estimates and invoicing and stuff like that.
Correct.
And
Database.
not to slam the software at all.
You need the software.
You need it, but to think that that's worth more than getting the lead in the first place.
It is not a prelude
insane.
to the marketing.
Right.
The marketing
they had it backwards.
Everybody has it backwards.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing it.
If they put that money into marketing first and then just let someone, because what it is that software just makes the job, because you still have a human involved in doing that invoicing and everything else. You're paying money. You're already paying someone to do that, and you're paying extra money to make it easier for them. It's a tool.
Right.
And if you said, okay, for a little while, we're going to spend the money on marketing, and you're just going to have to bang this out with spreadsheets, and we'll get the enhanced tool once we have the cash flow.
Cart before the horse, type thing. So second guy, actually new client today.
Right.
Great guy also. Although the owner listened to me, heard me, bought. The other guy still
Not the owner.
Still not. Yeah, not the owner, still not. Which another problem, by the way. And all this tails into this conversation. Mind on my marketing on my mind. You never, in my opinion, how dare somebody pawn off the most important thing of the marketing to somebody that works in the office that doesn't know anything about marketing.
Right.
And then have them call and get secondhand information from someone who, at the end of the day, didn't care as much as the owner.
Right.
Also
doesn't have the power to make the purchasing.
And doesn't have, it's so backwards. We've talked about this before. I think the most famous person in recent history is Steve Jobs, that was so hardcore on marketing for his business, down to aesthetics and fonts.
Everything had to do with the brand. Every decision reflected on the brand. And the one that you were talking about, where they have the marketing manager calling you, is that owner already has a bad attitude about marketing, because you said he's pawning it off on somebody, and he's making it something that he can refuse. That's the thing. He wants the person pitching to him, his employee, so that he can say no and not feel bad about it.
Maybe. There's all the stuff I could conceptualize as bad there. He's egotistical to a fault, possibly. Or he's scared of it because has pain associated with it because he's been screwed before. So he didn't want to deal with it. So now he's ignoring it.
Yeah.
Or ignoring it, and he's egotistical because he wants someone else to do it. There's just a couple things in business that there's many things in business that you don't entirely pawn off to people.
Right.
And if you do pawn it off, you come follow back up. Somebody else had a marketing manager called, but we did a Zoom call. And at least the owner got involved at that point. And I still don't even agree with that one entirely, but at least it made more sense that he was involved.
At least he was there.
At least he got involved. Yeah. So if you're not willing to get involved in the marketing, it just simply won't work as well. There's no way you're going to go find. I had somebody that was it was a different business that we do. We don't have any of these anymore, but we used to do a chiropractor here and there. Remember?
Oh yeah.
I was talking to this guy, this doctor in Austin, and I'm not dogging him. It's just that he was so arrogant, it was ridiculous. I was talking to the girl in the office that had been tasked with the marketing. And oddly, this is the guy that we didn't get that referred the other guy that stayed with us for like 7 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. The one that, who I'm talking about.
I know
Yeah. So that's how we got that client.
Yeah.
For the referral, but right before they signed up, they decided not to. And what ended up happening was I was talking to them on speakerphone, and the girl had messed up something. I forget what it was. There was like a complete misunderstanding. The doctor chimed in and said, "She is an extension of me." And so whatever I said to her was an insult to him. It was such a ludicrous position to have.
And I'm sure you didn't say, "You freaking idiot."
No, I didn't.
Probably just corrected.
No, I just corrected her on something, and it was just direct and straightforward. I tell people all the time, it's Texas straightforward, Texas respectful.
Yeah.
That's how we are. And no, never disrespectful to a client like that. But this guy had this ego that was larger than his,
the woman in his office ended up calling us and saying they didn't want the word. He was a chiropractor, but they didn't want the word chiropractic anywhere on the site.
It was that one. It was
Brilliant, by the way.
Yeah, it was that one. So yeah, and another thing, you got to when you're dealing with, you got to have respect for all the different professional services that help you. You know, if you go back to like, you know, kindergarten training, you know, this profession helps with this one helps with that. You don't just barrel in the room and say, do it this way. And even back then, we were having trouble with topical authority with stuff and telling them not to name it that.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was long.
So this is a different topical authority.
This is like 2016.
It's like if you're a roofer, have the word roof in your name.
Right.
Or
Roof or roofing or something.
Or it won't work as well. But if somebody didn't come in and dictate terms, like I know better than you because I'm smarter than you, and here's exactly how you're going to perform my marketing. That's a bad stance to take. But anyway, it's a little off. If I have other stuff, I was going to say that, so if someone's mindset should be this, you won't get everything down, and it's okay not to know everything, but it's not okay to get screwed around, feel like you're villainized, throw your hands up and stop learning, or to point at people and like villainize them or to dictate to them what to do. You've got to have some professional help, just like you would an accountant.
Seek professional help.
Yeah.
In some cases.
An accountant or or an attorney if you needed one or whatever. So this is that realm of support. And if you have someone good like Roofing Webmasters, you get help and you're thankful for it, and you say, hey, we always say the best clients will say, what can I do to help? You know, what can we do?
What can I do or what can we do?
Right.
As opposed to the other call, which is what are you doing?
What are you doing today? I'm mad today, and I felt like calling to kick on you, even though I've made $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever it is. And let's talk about that just for a second. You can get daily call volume from a roofing website. We have clients that get so much that I hesitate to tell people because I don't ever like blowing smoke. Most of these guys, if they got one call a day or one call every other day, they'd be tickled.
Yeah.
But we have people that get 30 calls a day.
We don't like to say that too often because then if they
Most
don't
of them
hit that number, some of them will be like, well, you promised I'd get 30 calls.
No, we never would. I lost a client the other day because he had called 13 people or 17, or it was in the teens, which is excessive.
Yeah.
He had
Which is excessive.
he called that many digital
marketing. 18.
It was a lot.
It was a lot of digital marketing companies.
He'd called a lot of digital marketing agencies. He had placed them on a spreadsheet, and he had made categories, and he was checking them off of who did what and how. And it was annoying to be judged to that extent as the owner of the company.
Right.
So I have a little bit of an ego that can creep up, but mostly I don't get mad at my pocketbook, and I say, thank you, sir, and we'll work hard for you. But we weren't, to that point yet. we were 17 notches away, and I wasn't sure that I was. I decided I wasn't gonna, be their dancing boy for how long it took them.
Yeah.
So they wanted reports and everything else, but
Report guy.
Report guy.
That's what we started calling him around here.
Report guy. But God, what was my point with the guy?
I have no idea.
There was going to be a point with him, but the respect for the marketer telling people what to do and people promising things to people. So he finally got to the point. He called back and said, "Well, I want to get this all down because you're saying I'm not promising 30 leads a day. We absolutely don't.
Yeah.
I never would, never have.
Yeah.
We have people who've done that, and we have people who get 1 lead a day, and they love us to pieces. It depends on the market and whether you're in commercial or residential. It depends on a lot of things.
Right.
But he said, I want to know because I have a very good mind, and when these people tell me
photographic memory,
basically is what he said. And when these people, he didn't say that, but basically, when people tell me stuff, I'm going to hold them accountable. I was like, okay, so you're saying that people are going to hold them accountable for showing up and ranking when you want to or when they said they would? He said, yes. I said, I never promised you any of those things. And he said, well, I'm talking about, I said, no, to be clear, we never promised anything because I don't own Google. I said, so
We promise to work hard and do everything we can for you.
Correct.
But the end result sometimes is squishy.
I will say that we are the most skilled. We're the only ones that have a software company in the genre that is not white labeled, that is proprietary and owned under a different LLC that I own with somebody. We're the only ones that have any of that stuff.
Right.
So I said, so you're telling me that you're going to write down on your spreadsheet promises of a salesperson, and then that's going to be in the decision-making factors. Well, I said, that's exactly what you just said. And I said, that's going to be problematic. That'll be tough that you took all the, and anyway, it went into this whole deal, but it can go too much, but somebody should be thinking about it every day. They should be working towards their brand. This is through branding, like through design and code and content, and reputation and reviews, and a couple of multi-streams, not too much. You might have a YouTube account, might have an Instagram account. You work on something, you work on getting constant content out there. Like Data Pens is our client's version of like a podcast and a video.
Right.
Just to put it in perspective for you, for anybody listening to this, we don't use Data Pens because we're not a contractor. We work for contractors.
Yeah. Data Pens is specifically designed for local SEO, and we're national.
Correct. So we cannot use Data Pens to better this business's national presence because we're not taking pictures of jobs, geo-targeting, and
website screenshot.
I thought about it.
A screenshot for website and analytics.
We talked about it.
Yeah,
but,
we did.
Yeah.
But we kind of figured it wouldn't work.
It'd be dumb. It'd be dumb.
At the national level, you need long form content. On the local level, you can use short form content provided it's relevant.
We have more of a distribution network of content as well, but these guys need Data Pens. And so you use stuff like this in order to become a better brand, in order to show up on mapping and reputation reviews and organic, so that your phone calls can come in regularly, so that you can then use those leads to open up your software to write an estimate and to create a database on the client or send out a PDF invoice or whatever it is.
Right.
And then you use that to have overhead and infrastructure and service and all of those things, but only after the marketing.
Right. This kind of makes me think we had a conversation recently when we talked about sales funnels, and everybody was considering their sales funnel marketing.
Right.
And it's like, no, the marketing happened. If this is the top of the funnel, the marketing happened up here.
Right.
And is the only reason anything is in the funnel is because of marketing. The funnel is not the market.
It's a really good point. It's madly frustrating. It's maddening. So funneling is maybe okay for a roofer, but this one's interesting though. So a funnel.
I wasn't like slamming funneling as a concept.
No, I'm not either. But
people's misunderstanding of where it is in the chain of events.
No one should pick a marketing company based on them selling funneling to you.
Right.
So I'm going to explain this because I don't know. You just said it real quick. So you get a lead because you organically showed up on a map or review or organic keyword search term on Google, or you paid for a click on Google or Facebook or Instagram.
Whichever it is, yeah.
Or you bought a lead on a lead source place. So that's where the leads come from, or you knocked a door or something possibly.
You did marketing of some
But
kind.
you did marketing, and then it can enter a funnel.
Right.
But who in their right mind wants to enter a funnel before the sale?
Right.
Like if you happen to have an email, fine. But if the email is a prerequisite to get into the funnel, to get the client, you've just screwed yourself.
Right.
Because the funnel is shaped like a funnel, right? Like that. So you drop all these sweet leads up here, just a couple trickle at the bottom. So you should, in my opinion, if there's a direct marketing avenue, like a phone call or an email direct in, you do that. The problem with the funnel is that the funnel comes in and it's connected to programs that want to sell. And this is all, I go down a dark rabbit hole of conspiracy theory stuff here, but the funnel's popular right now because of propaganda. The propaganda is evasive or out there because people have developed software to sell funnels.
Yeah.
So
because it's easy. relatively speaking.
It's easy in concept.
Yeah.
It's difficult in, execution. And it's
once you've built out the functions in the software, you get people say, hey, you got all this stuff in the top of your funnel, and then the software takes care of everything.
I'm aware how a funnel.
So you don't have to work. But you don't have to work at it. That's the hook.
So that's the narrative, but it doesn't actually work. And the reason it doesn't work is because if somebody wants a roof, they don't want to enter your funnel cycle to get in, and you shouldn't be waiting to interact with the people until they get out the funnel.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're automating the process. You're automating the part of the process that you should be hands-on, that you should have human contact, which is what makes that sale.
So here's where the funnel makes sense. The funnel makes sense after you have a client base or you have a dead lead. So if you have a client base or a dead lead, then you start the funnel, and the funnel consists of email drips with the rules, depending on what they click on the email, and then you just hit them and hit them and hit them and hit them. And I wouldn't even call it out the end of the funnel. It's just like nailing a bunch of people. Let's say there's 300 emails and barraging like Dragon Ball Z fireballs at their asses, right? until one of them goes, why, and like turns into a lead.
Yeah.
Because if you treat it like a funnel, let's just screw all my leads into this little trickle out here. Like if I did that personally.
It's more of a filter than a funnel.
How many clients would we sign up if we did that?
Oh my God, I don't even like to think about it.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. So all these moronic digital marketing agencies sell funneling to people because they don't know dick on any of this stuff. They don't know anything. And then they slap it on a crappy website, slap on your citations, gives you some automated reports, and slap a funnel in that they built out. And then they're done. Everything's automated. And then you've got to spend until your nose bleeds money to get emails to fill the funnel. Because they suck ass at search engine optimization or organic, which would have been nice to fill the funnel, but wouldn't have been a first place to use the funnel. The funnel is used after the damn fact.
Yeah.
After the fact. So the leads come in a happy place. Hey, Happy Place Roofer here makes it easy to contact us. Give us a call or email us and we'll respond directly. Roofer that's confused, that got set up with idiotic marketing company, funnels your stupid ass through all these procedures, and if you jump enough times, we'll finally call you.
I've got storm damage on my roof. I need someone to come out and look at it, and you get emails for
3 reasons to choose our 5 things to look out for. Like, well, damn, dude, I just wanted a roof.
And we've seen all this really happen. We're not making this up.
Can I get an estimate? No, but seriously, people don't realize that it's one thing. I had a guy. You can get some leads on social media, but you need to be social and do it yourself. And you can do all this stuff, but it's like this stuff is ass backwards usually. And then one thing I want to talk to people about is when they're looking into how to get a lead, and it's not their fault. So no, it's like I don't blame the roofer as much. You can blame the roofer after they've if they get quality services and they choose to villainize it or do something like that. But most people get quality services, stay with it, they're successful.
Yeah, most of the time they realize.
Most of the time. Yeah. Most of the time they actually do. It's frustrating to us when they don't. But when you're doing this stuff, your job is to get recognized, get the brand out, and get leads in. And most people are looking for a lead instead of building a brand to get a lead.
Right.
And so it's a really simple thing that seems like it's lost in translation there. But if you call a lead company, if you pay for clicks, you're literally going onto Google and paying someone else to get you the stuff that's already there. So 70%
you're paying for their marketing.
Correct. Whether it's the Google getting up, well, everybody clicks on it. I'm so sick of hearing that over the years. And everybody clicks on those paid ads, Nolen. No, they don't. I said, I don't click on them. And you don't, well, I don't click on them. I said, okay. And then they'll start thinking about it. But it's really only about 30% of people click on the paid ads.
Right.
70% of people want to see your website, your map, your reputation, reviews, which, by the way, all those things are optimizable. Your map is like completely has a whole algorithm behind it.
Right.
People act like it shows up because Google liked them. I mean,
well, I've been in business for 20 years, or I've got 100 reviews, or it's like, and those things matter.
Yeah.
But without a website, Google's going to look at like, okay, what do you do? Well, there's no information. What do we show you for?
Yeah, they don't have information. They don't have tenure. They don't have credibility. They don't have signaling. They don't have. I mean, I guess mainly it relates to credibility and user intent and user satisfaction.
Right.
You know, but those are different things. But you're looking at getting up and ranking, getting a lead, and building your brand to get leads. And then there's nothing wrong with buying some leads or paying for some clicks, but that's the secondary item. So the secondary thing is I may use some other lead sources and try some stuff, but I know most of them won't satisfy me like organic web presence that's branded, because that's the biggest free thing that's ever existed.
Yeah. Free.
It's free because you got to pay guys like us to help, but
you're not paying Google directly.
You're not paying. If Google charged you for the same equivalent results, it'd cost you 5 times more, 10 times more. It depends on how many leads come through.
Yeah, and what keywords you're talking about. In every one of our categories, we have there's a short list of keywords that cost way more than everything else.
It's true. Every category we have though they're all expensive nowadays.
Yeah, true enough. But I mean, since we're talking about roofers, if a storm runs through your area, all the storm damage keywords quadruple in price overnight.
Yeah.
Those go up to $100 a click, and that's not a call or anything. It's just a click to your website.
Yeah, it's another reason to be entrenched organically when storms hit.
Right.
So I had one like that I was going to do on a podcast, but the roofer it's just like a gold rush when hail hits, or a storm hits Florida or whatever. It's just like they get to go clean house potentially, get to go do all that stuff. And it's potentially fantastic to be a roofer all the time if you're optimized, and every once in a while you get a hailstorm. And by the way, if you're not optimized and you don't have your brand ready when the hail hits, you're just schlepping it with every other roofer that came from out of town. There's nothing wrong with knocking a door, but it sucks to knock a door, let's say in Texas where we are, when some dude just drove down from New Jersey and he's knocking the door right next to you.
Yeah.
And they can't tell you apart from that guy. Maybe New Jersey, they could.
Maybe. Hey, I see you got some damage to your roof here.
You want a roof? You need protection? Yeah.
Be ashamed if something happened to it.
Right, there you go. Jesus. Thanks, Jason. We're not even going to, no clients out of New Jersey.
My in-laws are from Long Island, New York. I'm allowed to do that.
It doesn't mean you can insult people, Jason.
Except that they actually talk like that. I'm just imitating my father-in-law.
Luckily, we don't get many roofers out of New Jersey, so hopefully. I'm sure that if anybody's watching from New Jersey, you're going to knock on the door. I'll tell you, Jason will be happy to visit you at the front door. You can take it outside with Jason. I'll stay inside. Anyway.
Am I a clown to you?
Right. There everybody likes Joe Pesci, man. Goodfellas. Anyway, what the hell were we talking about? Anyway, just having to compete with these guys. And if you don't have a great branded web presence, you won't even convert these.
If you haven't done your digital fundamentals first, you can't take advantage of that storm as well. And if that storm hits, you haven't done your digital fundamentals. That's my new term, by the way. Just made that up. And then you're competing with all the out-of-town people for door knocking and PPC and lead buying and everything else, then you're going to spend a hell of a lot of money, and you're not really going to be able to outbid them. You're just going to maybe keep your head above water. But if you were already branded, had done your fundamentals, and properly optimized, you would beat them without having to spend all that extra.
If the average roofer that just say door knocks, does organic growth, whatever you want to call it, doesn't digitally market that well, knew how much they're losing just on conversion because they don't have a professional branded web presence. When people
Right.
go to look them up, like they could get one job per year to pay for this, or one or two a year. And if they're knocking doors all day long, there's no telling how many leads they lose just because their web presence kind of sucks.
Yeah, because they hand over a business card, someone goes in and looks them up,
Yeah.
and they say, "Oh, they don't even have a website." And all of a sudden, in this day and age, no website
Well, they'll
means shady.
You can have a website,
Yeah,
you can have 10 reviews up, but if it's just kind of a dead end, people want to just see endless information now. And once it hits a certain level, it gels with them, and they feel good about it.
yeah,
In fact, why we do this? Like I'm telling you, this is my deal that's maddening, but when done, equals an extremely successful business. If we don't have multi-channel formats of content constantly going out to Google, we don't optimize. And if there's not enough out there for the client to digest, we don't sell.
right.
End of
And
story.
we've had periods where we said, "Oh, we've got like hours and hours of podcasts up. We can skip them for a few months," and we see rank and conversion dip during that period.
Right.
We've seen it. We've made that mistake ourselves.
Yeah, I'll get busy and and I'll get busy and we'll drop.
Yeah.
You literally drop.
Like, oh, we got to get out some content. We got to do some more.
Yeah, as far as all this is concerned, I don't want someone to take this and overly freak out about marketing, but someone needs to be thinking about the best professional service to hook up with, which that's our.
And it needs to just be a priority in your business plan.
Yeah. And hopefully if nobody took anything else out of it, hire us, do something like data pens. And if you did anything on the site at all, it's reviews and a couple of auxiliary things, tiny stuff though. Once that organic presence gels in and starts showing up in Pack 3 mapping and organic keywords and reputation reviews, then you might try another marketing source, which will be very hard to find the next one. And I'm not saying that because of the sales spiel. It's just like the organic's so inexpensive if you're branded, and then you might or might not like a lead source or a paid source. But you can probably find one more at least, and then the other stuff is I talked about this on hail damage or the perfect roofer marketing. There's one podcast out there, it's like wrap a truck, put out signs, the community knows you,
right?
Go to church, whatever, and it's like your truck's wrapped around your neighborhood. They know you more in that zip code, And then all this stuff gels together and equals a really great return on everything. And it doesn't have to be something that's scary or the end of the world, but you can't just ignore this stuff. I guess if somebody left with anything, it's just that you can. That's another thing. You can get up there in ranking. This guy I was telling the guy that just signed up, I showed him a client in another market that was the same exact age as him when he started. It's only been with us 15 months and now is ludicrously successful.
Right.
It does.
Doesn't necessarily take 15 months.
Yeah, the most negative thing. People always hear the most negative thing.
Right.
It doesn't. I did not just say that it took him 15 months to become successful. So freaking frustrating.
That is his tenure with us as a client.
That was a tenure as a client. He wouldn't have lasted that long if it took 15 months.
Yeah, if it took 15 months, he
would have quit.
He never would have made it.
So yeah, the average person's successful within 3 or 4 months. They're highly successful, and no, that does not mean that they didn't get a call before the.
It also doesn't mean that at the end of month 3, a spigot turns on and you're getting 1 billion calls a day.
What I don't want people to do though is just to ignore marketing. And I want you to understand why you buying software first, or a pickup first, or possibly even an office location first was not the right move.
Right.
It is marketing first. Nothing else matters on some levels to me.
And your marketing is just as important as your financials. It's just as important as knowing how to put a roof on.
There are no good financials.
You could be the best roofer that has ever existed in history, and if nobody knows it, meaning you didn't market, you're out of business.
I'm sorry, Jason, but that title's already been taken by Best Damn Roofer.
He's in Canada. We don't do that.
Yeah, if you've never seen Best Damn Roofer, if his videos are still up, they get pulled down every once in a while. It's hilarious.
He's fun.
I think it's real. I think it's real. You haven't watched it? He's got his whole family there, man. They're drinking beer on the job. It looks real. Like he's not uncomfortable. He's definitely not uncomfortable.
No.
Anyway, I'm sure people know Best Damn Roofer. I don't know.
I'm sure roofers do.
You think so? Yeah. Best Damn Roofer?
He's pretty funny.
He's hilarious. But his first group of videos got pulled down, and then he had to put them back up. But yeah.
What for?
Inappropriate stuff, man.
There's so much inappropriate stuff on YouTube. What the hell?
I don't know. All right, man. Yeah, so just if somebody understands, I think it's clear at this point, but yeah, you don't buy certain things before other stuff. If I had one piece of software mainly, but my God, to go buy it for 4 or 5 guys and not even have, and you know these people too, they're paying for clicks and everything else, and they're already spending, like they're spending way more than we charge for the main show.
Right.
We're the big show. I was telling some guy, I said, this is the big show. You can go do other things, but this is undeniably the big show.
Yeah. This is an oversized piece of the pie of your business.
I was showing this guy too, and I was like, do you think that he spent more than he did? And he's like, yeah. I said, he didn't. Do you think he'd been going longer than he was? I said, go look at it on Whois. It's like, I'll prove it to you. And then they went and looked, and it's like, he's like, I'm in. I was like, yeah. Because it worked. But that guy we were talking about, he embraced it. He has like 500 and something pins. I mean, he was just dogging it.
Yeah.
And is dominant. Not, it's a whole different topic. We ought to, that's a good podcast, by the way. I'm already #1.
Oh, not for long.
No, that's not my point. It's like there's thousands of words that can go up. People like apply that one statement to something.
Yeah.
And their web presence is no good.
I've got X keyword.
I've got that one keyword. It was like, well, what about the other 9,000? You know, it was like
we could also talk about the reverse is I'm not #1 for this one keyword. Yes, but you're #1 for these 100 keywords.
Right. Well, that's the conversation we end up at.
That's the flip side.
Right. Or and 100 of these on #2 and 100 of these on #3. And by the way, overall dominant in your marketplace. Thank you very much. But anyway. All right, guys. That was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I liked it.
Self-review. Take it easy.
Yeah. Why not, man?